What's up, my mother Jeffers? We are here with the top 15 greatest wrestlers of all time. We are 1/4 away. One guy is gone. We don't know where he's at. We think that he's out doing something with a church or some kind of pedophilia type of thing. I'm not sure. I don't want to know. But I am your badass Flapjack. Double J, here we go. Kick it off, Dale.
Hello, wrestling fans, and here I am, the Suplex Samurai, with his top 15, which is sure to incite some rage on a lot of the guys I've left off and who I did like.
And Ring Rats, I got a 15 list you're going to be looking forward to. I am your resident rock star, that white trash zero, Hollywood hero, Hollywood Michael Paul.
So let's get this top 15 going. I mean, it was a pretty hard list to compile, so let me start off by saying I started the list, and I had a lot of wrestlers on there, so I had to kind of cut it down. So then I kind of went to, like, impact, who had more impact, who had, you know, who's moved the needle and gave more for the sport or made the sport bigger.
For me, I mean, it was the same thing, and it was undeniable some of the guys I had to put on there. Even if I'm not a fan of them, it was undeniable. I couldn't not do it.
Right.
And, you know, at this point, I would like to name 3 guys that almost made my list, that should make my list.
Honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions, and that's 1 is Kurt Angle, 2 is Great Muta, and number 3, I was really, this was a hard one for me. I wanted to say Rey Mysterio because he is the best little man in the business ever, and Daniel Bryan. I just couldn't. I tried, I wanted to, but I was like, his stick was so short that I just couldn't do it.
I want a D-Bryan on my list too.
So my honorable mention too included Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
I mean, he was been my Rey Mysterio was another guy I debated for a long time. At first, I had him up there, then I took him out. Then I put him back in, then I took him out. Because you're right, he's probably the best little man ever, bar none.
It's true. Well, the only honorable mention I have was Daniel Bryan.
Just Daniel Bryan?
Just Daniel Bryan.
No Kurt Angle, no.
Oh yeah, Kurt Angle.
I just said Kurt Angle.
Yeah, I mean,
Kurt Angle is probably one of the. I mean, there was a lot. Like I wanted to put Eddie Guerrero. I wanted to put Chris Benoit.
Eddie Guerrero, you're right. Chris Benoit.
There's so many of them, and I wish that I could.
That's what I was saying.
Man,
it was so hard to narrow it down to who, like, because Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. You guys know I love Chris Benoit. I mean, what he did is fucked up. I don't agree with that, but wrestling wise, watching him, he was amazing. Eddie Guerrero too.
Honorable mentions. It's Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho.
Dean Malenko. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We can go on a whole list of honorable mentions.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of giving it away. Chris Jericho, he was going to make my list, but it's so hard when you're trying to compare of all time because there's so many greats. But I have to say this, and I have to say it first, because the number 15 guy is a guy that nobody would ever pick for me. And you all know I hate this motherfucker. It's Hulk Hogan. He had to be there. I was struggling to write it. Like, I had my pen there. I made the H, and then my hand started shaking. I was like, I can't write it, but I have to. What the guy did for the business alone, man, you got to give respect to what he is. He couldn't wrestle that great, but he could cut a promo. He had the look, and his marketability was fucking top of the notch.
So like I said in our worst 15 video, podcast, which you guys should definitely check out at the Ringside Power Hour. Number 15 is what was I saying about Hulk Hogan? Yeah, Hulk Hogan was the perfect dichotomy of wrestling. I mean, like I said, he's probably one of the worst and one of the greatest. I mean, what he did was phenomenal.
That's true. Like, you can't deny it. You're right. What he did to help transcend the business, what it is today.
So my number 15, it was you guys' honorable mention, which is Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle for me. Kurt Angle is an Olympic gold medalist, the only Olympic gold medalist ever in the history of WWE. He went on to TNA. I mean, he was great everywhere. He brought out the best in everybody. He's so technically sound and so great. I can't see to leave a guy like that with that kind of talent off my list.
Honestly, Kurt Angle was probably better than some of the guys I have on this list. But like I said, it really comes down to hitting every aspect of era. And Kurt Angle was number 15. But then I was like, I can't not put Hulk Hogan because, like I said, what he did for the business was by far something that Kurt Angle really didn't do. But he did transcend Olympic gold medalists. Like, the surreal to that guy is fucking fantastic, and I agree with it 100%.
That's true. It's true. Well, my number 15 is a guy who started out with the tag team, and a lot of people didn't think he would make it as a singles guy, but I put Edge at number 15.
15 all time?
You hear that laughing?
15, Edge. I think
You
So-
put hold on, I got to. I fucking have to. You put Edge over Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho.
to be fair, when I was making the list, Kurt Angle slipped my mind.
Look, man. Here I was struggling with the Kurt Angle thing, and you come out with fucking Edge.
He was great when he started his singles run. His tag team, he was great with that shit. A lot of people said he wouldn't make it.
If we were doing top 15 tag teams all time, Edge and Christian are probably on my list. But the greatest of all time. Greatest of all time.
Yes.
History of wrestling.
I consider Edge as one of the greatest of all time.
History of wrestling.
History of wrestling.
History of wrestling. You heard it here, folks. Edge is number 15 on Hollywood's list.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
blasphemous.
you officially got me fucked up. I'll have to bring this back to the light. I have to just yell out, Iron Sheik is number 14, baby. The greatest fucking heel ever. I could not put him there. He's the man.
Damn, Jeff. Well, my number 14 is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I'm a huge Steamboat fan. I think this guy got zero push in the WWE, but you watch his matches with Macho Man, Ric Flair, Muta, any match he was in, 5-star match. That guy could fucking perform. And he's the guy who really started bringing like martial arts into wrestling.
I love this match with Randy Savage. It was
His WrestleMania
really
match
love
with
his
Ric
Ric Flair
Savage.
matches.
I love his Flair
by
matches.
far the greatest matches of all
And
time.
if WWE and Vince McMahon wasn't so fucking racist, he might have won a belt.
Yeah, Ric Flair gave him his championship, and that's why I respect Ric Flair for everything he's done for a lot of the talent that we wished could have been the talent.
That's true. Well, my number 14, I got heat for 15. I might get heat for 14 too. CM Punk.
I cannot believe the audacity of this motherfucker to say a guy that did one thing. He had one pipe bomb. His history was not fucking nowhere near top 15 of all time.
This is the problem when it comes to like greatest list of all time and shit, because people are so like into the recent wrestlers. I mean, honestly, I don't know how you can even compare CM Punk to half the guys that are on my list.
You'll see my list if once I get through it, and you'll realize that no guys that haven't finished the legacy aren't on my list.
Well, I got guys from the way back when on my list, but not towards the bottom. But CM Punk, I was just not just considering his WWE shit. I was considering all his indie shit. And
But
everything.
what impact did he do to wrestling? Like, he wasn't Hogan.
He wasn't Hogan, but
He wasn't even Ultimate
He tried
Warrior.
to change it. It worked for a little bit.
I mean, he wasn't even Ultimate Warrior, man.
He tried to get paid and leave. That's what he tried to
I mean,
do.
seriously, was he
Now
even?
he's trying to fight.
Was he even Luger status?
I think he's better than Luger, but
No, I'm not saying a better. I'm saying, was he even at Luger status at any point? I mean, Luger did sell a lot of shit,
Well,
and he had a pretty long
CM
run.
Punk did outsell John Cena at one point.
For what, a day?
And I actually, earlier when we did our honorary mentions, John Cena did almost make my top 15. He was at number
you're
15,
absolutely right.
but I had to put Hulk Hogan.
I actually had John Cena at 14 and then switched it out and took him off.
I hate Cena, but he's on my list.
That's incredible. But you mentioned Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and that is my number 13. And it's for so many different reasons. For his matches with Ric Flair. Them to me, and once we get into our greatest feuds of all time, that's going to be on my list. You just wait for it. But Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to me was transcending the greatest fucking feud that Ric Flair ever had. And I'm sorry, I cannot wait for their DVD to come out so I can buy it.
Okay, so my number 13 is like near and dear to me. He is probably my all-time favorite wrestler ever.
And he's this high up. I can't wait to hear this.
Because the other guys on my list were just more impactful. So the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. The
Bret
excellence of
Hart.
execution, Bret the Hitman Hart. I literally grew up watching Bret Hart. You could probably say I wouldn't have been a wrestling fan if it wasn't for Bret Hart. I mean, I love the Hart Foundation. I loved when he got his push as a singles wrestler. It was amazing. Now, I know a lot of the wrestlers say that, a lot of his downfalls, he couldn't talk, he couldn't do this, he was all about him. But come on, man. Every fucking wrestler's all about them.
But you know how I feel about that is Cesaro is the same way. If you can wrestle, if you're a technician and people love you, you don't need to be the best talker in the world.
And I think that's what the best thing was. You went from the era of Hogan where he couldn't fucking wrestle a lick, and then you got the one of the probably. I mean, you can argue he was technical wise, he's top 5.
It's true. He was great technical wrestler. Real great. So we're on 13, right?
Way to pay attention there, bud.
Well, I was paying attention. I was just making sure. You know.
See, he said so much blasphemy.
Yeah, I
with
know.
CM Punk
I heard
and
CM Punk and
got
Edge.
himself
I don't
confused.
fucking know.
Well, my number 13 I already mentioned is a guy I hate, but I can't deny what he's done for this era of wrestling, this generation of wrestling.
He's about to drop a pipe bomb.
What he's done to help bring the business back up on its feet, and I do hate him, but John Cena is number 13 on my list.
I mean, I can't really argue. I mean, I could see John Cena being anywhere on this list. So, I mean,
Honestly,
he held the company
I
together.
argued with myself over Hulk Hogan and John Cena because it's like holy fuck, who do I pick here? Because obviously both of them are super popular, whether anybody wants to admit it or not.
Well, John Cena is basically the Hogan of this new generation.
I mean, I agree. That's why. I mean, I can't argue with John Cena being like. The only where I wouldn't see him is probably top 5 on this list, but anywhere between 5 and 15, I really can't argue because his impact is so great.
Well, my number 12 is going to shock the world. It's Dean Ambrose. Psych! It's Dusty fucking Rhodes, baby.
Are you sure it wasn't the other way around?
I'm pretty fucking sure it would never be Dean Ambrose. Not in a day of your life.
Well, you might be surprised that Dean Ambrose is not on my list either.
I mean, Dusty Rhodes to me was a guy that did not look like he was the guy, but he was so charismatic, could fucking wrestle for an hour at a time, and just keep going, could keep giving, had fucking very good promo skills. He had a fucking really good fan base, and he has produced two of the most technical wrestlers of all time.
Goldust and Cody?
Goldust and Cody.
So my number 12 is, which was hard to do because I listed him above my favorite wrestler of all time.
This is what's confusing me, is how Bret Hart's that far.
Because I went with Impact.
Bret Hart had a pretty big impact.
He did,
on
but
my life.
not to the extent of some of these other guys. So
if you look at me and Mike's era, like Bret Hart was our era.
that's true.
You know what I mean?
I see that, but Bret. I mean, I love Bret. What can I say?
That's why it's a shocker. This
I
is
mean-
why this is here is groundbreaking. I put Hulk Hogan, Mike put John Cena, and you have Bret Hart so far up. It's like holy shit.
Because I see. I think it was because I loved him so much. I didn't want to be so biased, and I kind of try to nitpick his career. I think it's probably why, because I went a lot about like what his impact was. So my number 12 is impact wise is Great Muta. You guys probably can argue that he don't deserve to be in the top 15, but I would disagree because, I mean, he was doing moonsaults. He was doing all kind of shit before anybody was doing it. And he's like the first Japanese wrestler to ever hit it big in the U.S. What he did, I mean, yeah, a lot of it he got from a Great Kabuki, but he was so much more athletic than Great Kabuki. I mean, this guy could wrestle with anybody. Ric Flair, Steamboat,
yeah, he's another
anybody.
Guy. He's another guy that had fucking great matches.
He had
with
an
all these
NWA.
guys.
He held an NWA World Championship. WWE never wanted to bring him over because, you know, Vince hates Asian people. But I mean, you wouldn't. I don't know if you would have Sting and some of these guys. You wouldn't have Shinsuke Nakamura in WWE right now if Great Muta was never in WCW or NWA.
No Tajiri, no, none of them.
Oh yeah, I mean Shinsuke Nakamura was fucking. I couldn't wait for that guy to come over.
That's what I'm saying. Without Muta breaking the ground, I mean, he literally broke the ground for Japanese wrestlers making it in the U.S.
10 years, my top 15 list is going to change.
Oh yeah, in 10.
Once these guys
it might be
get
5
their
years, and
legacy-
Nakamura might move up.
I mean, once his legacy is fulfilled, oh my God, he's making my top. I'm a huge fan of Shinsuke. I mean, I can't knock that at all. I want the guy to be the fucking champion.
He's great. I mean, I didn't really see a lot of his Japanese matches, but the ones that I did watch on YouTube and then seeing his shit in WWE, he's phenomenal. But my number 12, it's not a guy who's really completed his legacy yet, so to speak. He's a guy who...
Oh, you've named everybody that hasn't completed
Yeah.
a legacy. So
Edge,
I'm just throwing
Touch-
this out there
Like,
right now.
At least all my guys, are, you know, come on. Great Muta, Hall of Fame career. Bret Hart, Hall of Fame career. Can you say CM Punk or Edge even had a Hall of Fame career?
Wedges in the Hall of
you
Fame.
can say Edge has.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, you can say his legacy is completed, but
yeah, but
I
more
would
tag
even put Edge
team.
over CM Punk. So I really don't.
When I get
understand
higher up on my list, there's a lot of older guys. But
I hope so.
number 12 is a guy who goes hand in hand with John Cena, basically like his Austin to The Rock. That's Randy Orton. It's just Randy Orton.
You are killing me today with these fucking picks, man.
Killing me,
Randy
Smalls. You're
10
killing
years,
me.
we can make an argument, but right now,
I mean, he's helped, with a lot of the younger talent coming up, establish themselves
Man,
and everything.
I don't know this shit coming out of his mouth, so I can't even comment on it.
Well, you want me to blow you away with my number 11 started off so you guys
you
can...
might as well.
might as
shit.
blow it the fuck
My number
away.
11 is the guy who should be in the Hall of Fame. He comes from a wrestling family, a great lineage, and one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time, Owen Hart.
Owen Hart. I can't say that he'd be in my top 15 greatest of all time, but he's definitely one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, his career was cut such short. I mean, I really don't know if you could put him on the list.
He's a good wrestler. I mean, is he as good as Brett? In my opinion, no, but it's arguable. People were Owen fans over Brett fans. I don't understand why, but
because they were so different. Owen was such a personality wise. Owen was such a guy that you could get behind. He was so charismatic when it came to shit like that. He had mic skills. All the wrestlers loved him. He got along with everybody. Everybody, they've never had really anything bad to say about Owen. Brett, they couldn't stand.
When they took
Owen, he was loved.
When they took him and threw him in the Nation Domination, is the only white guy in there. That shit was gold.
So my number 11 is gonna fucking surely piss the flapjack of podcasting, Double J off.
Okay, let's go for it.
The Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar.
God. You know, I will say this. He almost made my top 15 worst of all time because, honestly, at this point in his career, he's worse than every one of them guys because every one of them guys had more than 2 moves.
Brock Lesnar is a UFC heavyweight champion. He is an NCAA champion.
Sure,
he is a WWE champion. He's put on great matches. Okay, is his booking now not that great? Yeah.
It's terrible.
But look, I mean, how many guys now is bad because of booking? I mean, Brock Lesnar is a special one-in-a-generation athlete.
Hold on. Okay, now I'm going to tell you what my real problem with that is. If you would have put him at number 15, I'd be like, oh, whatever. But you put him over Bret Hart.
Yes,
Bret
Impact.
fucking Hart.
That is true. Yeah.
Impact.
You are killing me right now.
If Bret Hart would have won a UFC heavyweight championship, Bret Hart would have been he would have been ahead of him. But you want to talk about transcendent?
You're killing
Brock
me.
Lesnar is transcendent.
Brock
Lesnar is He is known by Brock Lesnar is not only wrestling famous, he's mainstream famous.
You're right, he is. But that doesn't make him the greatest wrestler of all time. A top 15 of greatest wrestlers of all time.
Brock Lesnar would actually, if you want to go that route, Brock Lesnar probably would destroy everybody on this list.
Actually, I disagree. I know a guy that he won't.
Kurt Angle, that's it.
Kurt Angle, and that's it?
That's it.
Antonio Inoki. Yeah, go ahead and sit there.
That would have been close.
Go ahead and sit there in your quietness right now.
That would have been close. So
But,
moving on.
Yeah, your list is your list.
That's
My
right.
number 11 is THESZ. THESZ to me is Cesaro of this generation. THESZ was so technically sound, was so fucking gifted at the brawling style that everything he did looked fucking real.
So I'm going to go ahead and cut you off with the THESZ thing because I have him way higher on my list.
Yeah,
and
me
when
too.
I get there, I will finish off our conversation on THESZ. But to me, 11, that's low for THESZ. THESZ deserves to be way higher than that.
It goes back to the Impact.
Yeah, you want to talk about Impact? Guess what? There's no NWA without THESZ.
And I can guarantee that everybody that's listening doesn't even know who fucking THESZ is.
Well, they're not really wrestling fans anyway. I mean, they're fucking pop sugar people, man.
THESZ created a lot of moves. He created the German suplex, the STF, a lot of them. There wouldn't be those moves without him.
You know Stone Cold's famous move, when he slings against the ropes and jumps on top of you and starts punching you?
Yeah, I know a lot of guys.
Yeah, that's called
Randy Orton.
That's called the THESZ press.
Just think, if THESZ hadn't created that German suplex, Brock Lesnar wouldn't have a second career.
Listen, if Brock Lesnar had an ounce of talent that THESZ had, he would be on this list.
If any, you know what? Honestly, if any of these guys had the ounce of talent that THESZ had, I mean, you're talking about a guy who he's the longest reigning champion ever for a reason. He had one simple thing: if you want it, come take it from me. And guess what?
That's back when shoot wrestling was a real thing.
And guess what? You couldn't take it from him.
Well,
so go ahead.
Well, hold on. He wanted to piss me off, so I might as well piss him off. This isn't really a guy that I'm a fan of. My number 10 is Shawn Michaels.
Well,
that's right.
Shawn Michaels didn't even make
the
my
Mr.
list.
Main Event.
Well, I was trying to get to Hollywood so he can do his number 11.
I already did my number 11.
Oh, okay. So Shawn Michaels, really? That fucker didn't even
Shawn
make my
Michaels.
list. Now, greatest wrestlers of all time, there's no way I could say Shawn Michaels is the greatest wrestler of all time. Charisma-wise, marketability-wise, absolutely.
Isn't that what makes a fucking
Yeah,
wrestler?
but he also wasn't even the best of his time. He wasn't even the best of his generation.
I can't deny that he wasn't, but when you're talking greatest of all time, you're talking about guys that transcended the business.
I agree.
He transcended the Attitude Era.
But he
into
wasn't
what it
even.
was
But he
before
wasn't
got hurt.
even. He wasn't even. Got.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He wasn't
I know
even
it was
the best.
screw job, but it still happened, right?
Yeah.
Without Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart and Stone Cold, there'd be no Attitude Era.
There wouldn't be a lot of guys that we have.
There'd be no
without them.
Triple H.
Triple H, look, I will say this: Triple H almost made my list because of because of the career he
Triple
had.
H did make my list.
Triple H is nowhere near on my list. You know why? Cause you know what I think is Triple H. I think Triple H is Puff Daddy. Triple H is Puff Daddy, and Shawn Michaels was
Puff Daddy was pretty successful.
yeah, no, I'm saying he was just like Triple H is pretty successful, but he was Puff Daddy, and Shawn Michaels was Notorious B.I.G. He was a superstar that he rode on the coattails of.
Holy shit!
You wouldn't have Shawn Michaels without Bret Hart, really, though.
You wouldn't have Shawn Michaels. Yeah, I agree. I mean, without the screw
Shawn
job.
Michaels, hold on. Shawn Michaels wrestled in the 80s.
Yeah, but he
with
was
Marty
just,
Jannetty.
Yeah, so rockers.
Until he wrestled with Bret Hart, he was just mid
But to
card.
say that, of course he was. So was Bret Hart, though. Their storybook was the same kind. The tag team that rose up, that became the beloved.
Well, that kind of was the standard. That's kind of what's missing out of wrestling today. You remember, you started off as a tag team, then you moved on to the IC title, and then there was clear progression. Now it's just let's just throw darts at the board and see who sticks. So my number 10 is the immortal one, Hulk Hogan, and I hate. Yes, he's pretty high on my worst of all time list. I hate Hogan.
I will say this. I should have put Shawn Michaels like 14 just because I'm not a fan of him. But for some reason, I felt that it fit there for some reason, so I put him at number 10.
See,
I'm guessing that's the same thing you did.
Hogan,
Bret Hart to me is way better than Hulk Hogan.
Oh God, but like when we talked about it with you, I don't know if there is any wrestling left, or it was ever on the stage the highs it ever would have become if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan. I may not like Hulkamania, but let me tell you, there was literally, if you were a child in the 80s and 90s, you were basically a Hogan fan.
As a kid, I was a Hogan fan.
Like, I mean, yeah, I know.
You couldn't.
Yes,
you could not pull to it.
That dude was
I tried to fix Jeff back in the day, but he couldn't do it. He was a Hogan fan.
I mean, he was on lunchboxes, T-shirts, toys, fucking everywhere.
It was about 8 years old that I seen Ric Flair wrestle in WWE for the first time, and then I was like, I'm a Ric Flair fan.
Say your prayers.
The day I stopped hating.
Take your vitamins.
I started hating Hulk Hogan. I was like, yeah, this is kind of gay.
What you gonna do when Hogan comes for you?
Oh, yeah, well, we're in the top 10.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear this.
Oh, my 10. Triple H. Well, you see, Triple H, championship reigns.
I don't think he does it with the breath. I think he just does it with the.
Well, you see, I'm fat, so I gotta take breaths.
Who do you say?
Look, Triple H is my number.
Triple H always says, "I am the game."
Triple H is my number 10 because I mean, his career was basically, you could say it's over. He's semi-retired.
Like I said, Triple H
it's
is
not
Puff
over
Daddy
until he breaks the streak.
Or his hip.
Or the title reign streak. Whatever the fuck it's called. The 16-time streak.
Look, man.
He's going to do it.
I know
The
he
most
is.
reigns.
I mean, he's like basically married into the company, and
What is he, 14-time now?
14 time.
And John Cena's
Cena's 15 time.
right?
15. Cena will never hold the title ever again.
Good.
I hope not.
Yeah, but I think it kind of limits you story wise, but Triple H will break it.
John Cena's supposed to feud with Reigns.
But like I said, to me, Triple H is Puff Daddy, and he wouldn't have been shit without Shawn Michaels. So
I agree. I do love DX, so I don't hate Triple H. I do like him.
I don't think.
Actually, I do like I like this whole game persona. I love the gimmick. I actually like him.
King of Kings, the Cerebral Assassin.
I just don't think he's top 15. But I mean,
I
can't argue with.
He
it.
might have not gotten as far as he did if he wasn't, fucking Stephanie. But
now, let me get into my number 9, and I want to explain something before I drop this name. The only reason this guy isn't higher up is because of his career wasn't exactly what you would call a success. So, with that being said, it's the Hot Rod, Rowdy Roddy Piper. And let me specify why it wasn't a success. If you never became the champion, you really wasn't nothing. I hate to say it, but I love fucking Hot Rod. I loved his mic skills, his fucking wrestling, everything about the guy. He would have been higher up if he would have been a champion.
I mean, he was the NWA heavyweight champion.
Yeah, but
does that really count?
It did then.
I mean, I'm a huge Hot Rod fan. I think he literally made Hogan. I think without Hot Rod,
I
Hogan.
think Hot Rod made a lot of people.
But I think really without Hot Rod, Hogan
tell
never
you something.
reaches his popularity.
Jimmy Snuka is only memorable because he got beat with a fucking coconut.
I agree.
Yeah, Piper made a lot of people. There's a lot of things today you wouldn't have because if you didn't have Piper, you wouldn't have the talk show segments.
But like you said, I don't think you can. I didn't put him on my list because he never held a belt.
He is on my list.
I mean, I know he's kind of a screw job. He never held a
You
belt.
put Brock Lesnar in. You're killing me with this list, Dale.
Just
Brock Lesnar
blasphemous.
deserved to be
Jesus.
there. So my number 9 is the one guy that I think is a step above. That was a step above Hogan at the time.
Dean Ambrose.
That's more blasphemy.
That's just retarded.
He's gonna get tongue tied now because he can't.
Oh
he can't
my
think straight
God!
now.
It's the Macho Man, Randy Savage. This guy can cut promos and put together matches, boy. His promos made you. I mean, every time he cut a promo, you're like, "Oh my God, I'm so hyped! This dude is gonna kill this motherfucker!"
Oh yeah, Elizabeth, will you?
And then he had all the women. Oh,
Dude, I love Macho Man.
I loved Macho Man.
His commentary was great when he was on
He was
fucking
so
commentary.
charismatic, and he should have been what Hogan was.
Yeah.
It should have been. So my number 9 is Bret the Hitman Hart.
It's a little bit more respectable.
I know.
I felt I should put
It's
him
still
up that high
killing me.
for what he should have
But
done for the
it's a
business.
little bit more respectable.
Look, I'll be honest with you. When I first did the list, Bret Hart was number 4.
I'm going to be honest with you. I can't believe, honestly, I thought this is what my top 5 for you. I thought was going to be Ric Flair, Bret Hart,
Right.
Antonio Inoki, fucking Hot Rod, and then fucking Macho Man. That's the 5 that I had for you planned in my head. And you just shocked the world up in this moment.
Shocked
Hot
the
Rod's not even
motherfucking
on the
world.
list.
Dude, I'm telling you, Bret Hart was like number 4 when I first did it. And it took, like I said, I think because I didn't want to be so biased because, I mean, you guys already know how biased I am when it comes to Bret Hart. I mean, to me, he's the greatest.
See, like we talked about the THESZ and all that, but I think Bret Hart was technically sound better because he was more athletic.
No, I don't think he was better than Luke
I do because, okay, let me explain why. Okay, yes, THESZ was real. Like, you literally had to beat him. I get that. But we're talking about fake wrestling here. So if you put the ego aside and you look at who was technically sound and put on fucking fantastic matches,
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart, like, to me, was fucking his match with Stone Cold when he made him pass out. That's like one of the greatest matches of all time.
Like I said, I won't disagree with anything about Bret Hart. I think I was just trying to be over. I wanted to overanalyze it because of how big of a fan I am of his. I didn't want to just seem like, I only did it because he. Like I said, honestly, I thought Bret Hart deserved to be number 4. So.
That's still crazy to me. But
so number what
eight?
we on number
Number
8?
Number 8's going to
Number
make
eight.
my number 8's going to make Mike smile.
Why is
The
that?
Undertaker,
Oh, he's higher up my list.
the greatest big man of all time.
He is.
in my opinion. Facts tell you in the face. He had the greatest streak of all time at WrestleMania. He took a gimmick that should have never worked, a fucking Frankenstein gimmick.
No sell
and fucking
everything.
transcended it for fucking 25
25 years.
That's the thing guys don't do nowadays. They don't evolve their character with time to stick around.
So my number 8 isn't The Undertaker, but my number 7 is The Undertaker. So I'm going to just finish off on The Undertaker. Like you said, he's Mr. WrestleMania. He took a stupid gimmick that I think they just kind of tried to hamstring him, and he just fucking made it work. When he beat Hogan for the title, and they had to have a special pay-per-view on a Tuesday. That's how you know
that guy was going to be.
That's
big.
how you knew your gimmick worked. I mean, what can I say? For athletic big men, he's by far the standard bearer. There was no big man that has ever been that athletic.
I agree. And speaking of big men, I was actually going to put the Big Show on here because all the hate the dude gets.
I actually thought about it too.
It fucking kills me that people fucking look at this guy and go, okay, he did things that Andre the Giant didn't even do.
Oh.
Like, his matches were put together way better than Andre the Giant. People are going, oh my God, he's talking about the greatest. Like, shut the fuck up.
Dude.
Watch the body of work and then come back to me.
I was going to put Big Show on my worst list, but I didn't.
Oh my God, are you kidding
On
me?
your
I'm
worst
serious.
list?
The Big Show is
But
maybe
then
the
I
greatest.
thought about it and realized it would have been a bad
You're
decision.
talking about a guy like 7 foot tall, 500 pounds that can move and he can wrestle with anybody.
and he didn't make
Do
my
you
list.
not remember when Paul Heyman was running SmackDown, how good he was?
Yes, I said I thought about it, and that's why I didn't put him on.
And who's had more freaking heel turns and face turns The Big Show is so lovable and hateable at the same time. I love Big Show.
Man, and he could cut a promo too.
So my number 8 was Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes,
And
the American Dream.
I thought Jeff put him a little low because I think you don't have Ric Flair, you don't have NWA, you don't have any of that without Dusty Rhodes.
I will say this though, Dusty Rhodes was so fucking diverse that he could commentate, he could manage, he could wrestle, he could talk, he could do it all.
And that's why I have him so high on my list, because when he was done wrestling, he ran it and scouted for other wrestlers. He brought in so many people. He trained so many people. And like you said, he gave us Goldust and Cody Rhodes, man. So
he was one of the original scouters for NXT when it first started.
He had zero look. There's no way that look should have ever gotten over with American people. It should never gotten over with wrestling fans. Yeah, but this guy, he's so charismatic. He had the deep Southern drawl. I mean, you couldn't get any more Southern than Dusty Rhodes, and you still loved the guy.
That's true. Let's get funky, baby. Well, my number 8 is a guy who we talked about yesterday. Common guys could relate to him. Like, you could basically live through him. A guy that took the golden era and shook it up to the attitude era. That's Steve Austin.
Oh my! Are you serious?
He's that high up.
Number 8.
He's that high up.
That high up. Number 8.
Holy crap! I mean, at least he made the list. I can't disagree.
Look, I'm not gonna commentate on Stone Cold right now because he's on my list.
He's on mine
but he
too.
Sure the hell isn't that goddamn high up.
I mean, you're talking about a guy that fucking transcended something.
Yeah. So moving on. Like I said, my number 7 was The Undertaker.
Your number 7 was The Undertaker?
Yeah, my number 7 was The
And
Undertaker.
your number 7 was?
No, we were doing it at number 8, but when you did number 8 as The Undertaker,
okay.
I had just said, well, my number 7 was The Undertaker.
Well, my number 7 is honestly, he's arguable to be top 3. He's arguable to be top 5. Or it depends on who you talk to. He could not even make the list. Is the Italian Stallion, Bruno Sammartino.
Bruno Sammartino is on my list too.
I felt bad for leaving Bruno off, but I've never ever.
You are killing me
I've
today.
never ever liked Bruno Sammartino.
Not at all.
Dude,
No.
that dude is a fucking monster.
But he was a beast.
He's similar to Luther.
He is. He's very similar.
Very technically sound, very brawlish, very fucking the look.
The people loved him.
The people,
I know.
I mean, he got
mean,
parades and everything.
I love Bruno.
You're talking about a guy that did something for the business.
He just wasn't.
He
I don't
may
know.
have fucking took a fucking tan look and made it fucking something.
Look, I understand that Bruno Sammartino literally moved wrestling into the era that would become Hulk Hogan. I get it. I know this. I don't know why I didn't have Bruno Sammartino on my list.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out a lot of things of your list, especially the Brock Lesnar one. But we'll get past that for now.
Because Brock Lesnar he's better than everybody on the list. That's why.
So we're on number 7.
We are on number 7.
My number 7, I might get heat for his place on the list.
Here we go.
Is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. The Rock comes in at number 7.
Holy, you know what, man? We're just going to move on because that's just. We're just going to move on. So my number is 6.
Oh, I can't deny that he's on the list, but the placement is pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, I can't see
I got
how
better guys above him.
There's no better guy. Yeah.
You're C.
Okay, so my number 6 is kind of split. It's between the Iron Sheik, which is the greatest heel probably in professional wrestling history.
I agree with that.
And then the godfather of Japanese wrestling, one of the greatest ever, wrestled for 40 years. He wasn't just a pro wrestler. He was a shoot wrestler. He was an MMA guy. Antonio Inoki. He fought Muhammad Ali. He busted Ali's leg up. Yep. Ali was so scared to death of Inoki, he changed the rule right as a fight was about to happen to he couldn't take me down.
Yeah, I ain't disagreeing with the placement, but like to me, Brock Lesnar.
You're still on
killing me. I'm still thinking about Brock.
Well,
like,
Brock is low in the list.
I love it. I love Inoki.
Look how high Inoki is, man.
There's no Inoki.
There's no Japan.
There's no Japan.
No Japan at all.
He wrestled Hulk Hogan for the IWGP Championship.
I
can't put the guy over and didn't have to.
I don't know why he didn't either.
I know why he did. Obviously, you know why he did.
I know.
Everybody's seen in Hulk Hogan what he was.
Right.
They knew what he was going to do for the business. That's why you got to respect these guys that said, okay, I'm going to step aside and let Hulk Hogan take it. Because if you didn't, would wrestling be where it is today? Dude, the 90s might have been done. That's it.
I know. I mean, his influence is even more. It stretches beyond pro wrestling though, because there's really no MMA without Aoki.
Yeah.
Aoki is one of the first pioneers to put together an organization to have the house MMA fights. He was such a great promoter. I mean, he could just find talent. Not just his wrestling ability, but he could just find talent. And yes, they all saw it in Hogan because, I mean, he's just marketable.
Yeah, they're not dumb. I mean, but this number 6 is a guy that we have already talked about. It's the Macho Man, Randy Savage. I could not put him up there. The charisma, the historic fucking title reign he had. He was the only guy, I think, to actually pin Hulk Hogan for a title. Like, I'm probably wrong, but...
Ultimate Warrior pinned him.
Ultimate Warrior pinned him.
Oh, Ultimate, okay.
WrestleMania 7.
Yeah, that's right. But he like immediately lost it, so...
Yes.
This is what I'm going off of. This is a guy who also tagged with fucking Hulk Hogan with the superpowers.
Mega
Powers.
And they made that go for what, 2 years, a year and a half?
Yep.
Something that shouldn't even have worked. And it's the Macho Man. What can you say?
That's true. Well, my number 6, we've also already talked about. My personal favorite wrestler. The original Mr. WrestleMania, as you said. It's fucking Undertaker, man. The Undertaker's number 6 on my list. That guy, like you said, he took a gimmick that was, you were supposed to no-sell everything. It was supposed to completely fail from the start. And he's made it last 25, 26 years.
I agree. That's why he's high as shit on my list.
That's why he's pretty high on my list.
I would never hate on the Undertaker, other than when he needs to retire.
I mean,
that's it.
I mean, I can't say there's nothing bad to say about the Undertaker. He's the most athletic big man I've ever seen.
He could retire right now, and the fans would be fine with it. I mean, he's done it all.
I'd be fine with it too. The quality of his matches are going down. So I mean,
they have, but 25 years.
It's still the marquee of it. Like, he could sell a fucking arena.
That's why McMahon keeps bringing him back, and when he doesn't want to come back, McMahon talks him into coming back, because if you put his name on a WrestleMania card, people are going to pay for it.
You put him on any card. If you put Undertaker on any card, and that card sells. That's just fact. So we're going to move into our top 5 greatest all-time wrestlers.
The Fate
now
5.
I'm sure it's really going to get fucking nasty between the
It's
Ringside Power Hour crew.
It's going to.
I think my number 5 will get me.
Who wants to? You started off.
I will start with number 5 because we've already sort of brought him into the mix already.
All right.
My number 5 is THESZ, the longest reigning NWA World Champion. The man who invented so many moves. His look is the standard look for professional wrestlers now.
Yeah, it is.
His athleticism was off the chart. He was trained by a guy that I was going to put on my list, but I'm sure nobody had ever heard of, Ed the Strangler Lewis.
Yeah, I was reading about him today. That's another guy who you had to legitimately beat.
THESZ held the belt forever because, like I said earlier, if you wanted it, fine, beat me, bitch.
He had like 10 years or something like that.
He scared Buddy Rogers so bad he locked himself in the motherfucking bathroom.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
THESZ got mad. People ran.
I think that at this point, like, we all kind of have a similar idea, except we just have really big misplacements. And my number 5 is Austin 3:16. You couldn't have a top 5 without Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, there's nothing more to say.
There's
Attitude
nothing more
Era,
to say.
Look it up. You know why.
We know why. I'll comment a little more on Stone Cold when he gets onto my list.
I don't know if I want to say my number 5. I don't want to start riots.
Go for it.
Dean Ambrose?
Ric Flair.
Well, at least he made. I wasn't even expecting him to make your fucking
I was
list.
actually kind of shocked that he made your top 5.
I had to take into consideration he was a 16-time world champion.
Well, I'm glad. 22-time world champion.
Well, but WWE only tells him 16.
I'm honestly surprised that the Undertaker's that high up on your list. I figured he'd be like top 3.
Yeah, I figured he'd be above Ric Flair. Now, how you have Ric Flair only at 5 is beyond me, but.
I have Undertaker in them lower most. I've done a lot of research.
All I know is if Ric Flair is your number 5 guy, I can't wait to hear who the next 4 guys are.
And I think we should get right into it. You first.
You go number 4, buddy.
I need to know.
My number 4. Oh, we've already talked about him. One of the greatest heels in the sport. He set the bar for a lot of people. Roddy Piper.
Rowdy Piper.
Rowdy Piper.
You're actually going to make me argue one of my favorite wrestlers?
That's the point of the top 5.
Look, I love Rowdy Piper. One of the greatest heels, made Hogan what he is, but better than Ric Flair.
Yeah, a lot of people want to say I'm biased.
Better than Ric Flair. You're talking about 16-time world champion, the main event guy, the guy who sold. I mean, he sold out everywhere he went. He's so relevant. He's still relevant right now.
I'll tell you right now, he's top 5 heels for me. But top 5 of all time, he never had a WWE championship, so for me it's hard. That's why he's so low on my list. I have to put a career before my biased opinion.
Like I said, a lot of people are going to say I'm biased for putting Piper at number 4.
They will. And mine's pretty fucking simple. It's the great one. It's The Rock. Come on, that dude is. This is a reason I put him above Stone Cold.
Okay, so I actually have The Rock at number 3.
Do you?
So the great one is definitely. I mean, he's transcended wrestling probably better than anybody, even Brock. And it doesn't matter who you are. This guy sells movies. He saves franchises.
Oh, he's the most successful.
I mean, this guy literally he was hamstrung with a gimmick that was so awful he hated himself. Then he finally they said, you know what? Let's bury you, and somehow they threw a mic in his face, and all of a sudden it was over.
The Rock was born.
The Rock was born.
The Rock is the epitome of a promo. I'm sorry.
Like, The Rock is number 1 all-time promo-wise.
Like a lot of these guys need to go back and study Rock promos. These guys who can't get promos.
But the thing is, he's so quick. He's so quick with his comebacks. It's like during the Attitude Era, it was a lot more unscripted. So when these guys cut promos against each other, there was no fucking storybook card saying, okay, you're going to say this, you're going to say that, like it is now.
Yeah, you just feed off each other.
It was fucking The Rock would just come up with shit, and you're like, I mean, literally, he was stunned wrestlers. He was stunned Triple H in a ring and shit. You'd be like, holy shit, did he just do that?
The only guy I can really think that was quick wits with The Rock is Chris Jericho.
Yes, Jericho.
Honestly, like Stone Cold, he was a great promo guy. But Chris Jericho would spit back and it'd be fucking hilarious. I mean, they meshed so well together.
So my number 4 is another split. And you guys are probably going to say, I don't even know who the fuck that is anyway. So my guys are George Hankerschmidt and Frank Gotch.
I know who Frank Gotch is.
I know Frank Gotch.
Frank Gotch is the father of American wrestling, American pro wrestling as we know it. He held the belt for from 1908 to 1913. He took it from George Hankerschmidt, which is the first NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Now, let me put this in perspective for you, because you're going to argue, well, they don't sell like they do now. Honestly, they sold better. At this time, pro wrestling is real. It's on par with boxing and horse racing. It is the 3rd most popular sport in America. They sell out Wrigley Field. They sell out Yankee Stadium. These things are hyped matches where literally everybody is there. Pro wrestling would never come around to the THESZ, to the Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold era without these two gentlemen. And it was real. There was nothing fake about it. Yeah, did they start realizing, man, this real shit is killing my career, and hey, let's throw some stage shit out there? Yes. But in terms of popularity, wrestling has never reached as popular as it was at this time period.
Honestly, I wanted to put Frank Gotch. The other guy, I don't even know who that is. But
George Hankerschmidt is the first NWA world champion. He is, I mean, he beat so many guys. Like, I mean, I can go on. George Hankerschmidt destroyed fucking Count Conde he's the father of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He destroyed him. Absolutely murdered him. He threw his ass around and beat the dog shit out of him.
Yeah, like, honestly, I don't know who that is. Obviously, I didn't grow up in that era. And I actually never even seen a match of his. But I wanted to put Frank Gotch, but I felt like I didn't know enough to put Frank Gotch. So I was so torn. I was like, do I want to just like be a bandwagoner and then watch some shit on him and then come up with something? I couldn't do it. So I couldn't put him at my number 4.
So Frank Gotch is like, I mean, the last name Gotch is such a famous wrestling name that many people have taken the moniker. Like, his amateur wrestling was phenomenal. This guy was everything about him. He is one of the first inventors of the double wrist lock. I mean not inventors. I'm sure it's been around forever, but he popularized it, which is now known as the Kimura or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I mean, like I said, he sold out stadiums. He made wrestling so huge. It will never be the third. It will never be considered the 3rd most popular sport ever again.
Yeah. Probably, most likely not. It's not even considered a sport anymore.
Right.
It's sports entertainment.
So go ahead, Michael.
Oh, my number 3?
Yeah.
Well, since we started this whole podcast and everything, and the whole network being available, I've gone back and watched a lot of older stuff.
All right.
And my number 3 is the original Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers.
Buddy Rogers?
Buddy Rogers.
Is in your top 15?
My number 3, yeah.
Well, let me start off and say, he didn't make my top 15. The only reason I like Buddy Rogers is because he passed the torch to Ric Flair. Other than that, I thought he was a pussy. I didn't think he was that good. And
I thought he was pretty good when I went back and watched a lot of his stuff.
And you know what? I'm not even going to talk no more about it. I want to bring respect to this name. My number 3 is Bret the Hitman Hart. The only guy to put him up on top 3 where he deserves to be. I mean, you guys are fucking killing me. You're going to have a top 5 and not have Bret Hart in it? Considering what he did for our generation of wrestling?
I told you I would have had Bret Hart at number 4.
I have it at number 9.
You are killing me. God.
I mean, he did bring back legitimacy to wrestling when after the Hogan era, the freaking didn't know how to wrestle, didn't know how to do anything. But I can't. I mean, I can't argue with this. Bret Hart, you put him at number 1, I would agree with it. Yeah. So, like I said, my number 3 was a great one. So, my number 2, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and let me tell you why Stone Cold is number 2. He is the reason for the most profitable time in wrestling, the most viewership in wrestling history when it comes to TV and shit like that, merchandising. There's nobody else. Like, you could have put Stone Cold number 1, and it's going to be hard to argue because he outsold Hulk Hogan.
He was the ratings king.
He brought in.
They had the highest ratings of wrestling, period.
He made wrestling so relevant on TV, it was beating out Monday Night Football. There were he ended the Monday Night Wars. Stone Cold destroyed the Monday Night Wars. He put WCW out of business.
This is the guy who they said, he wasn't supposed to get over. He wasn't supposed to make it past the mid card.
No, he was stunning Steve Austin, and I fucking hated it.
What did Bischoff say? He will never be nothing.
Bischoff didn't think he was marketable at all.
He wasn't marketable.
It was Paul Heyman that seen the spark.
Yeah, Paul Heyman's the one who gave him the mic when he was injured. Just said, "Go off."
You guys know where he came up with the name Steve Austin?
No,
or Stone Cold Steve Austin?
No.
$6 million.
Well, the $6 million man was actually his ex-wife. Is the one who came up with the Stone Cold moniker.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was trying to come up with a name, and he had some tea, and she was like, "You need to drink your tea before it gets stone cold."
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Stone Cold. Well, I already mentioned my number 2, so I'm just going to get right into it. It's Antonio Inoki. Like you said, it's arguable, but I had to because if you think about the first guy to ever bring MMA to the wrestling sport, Antonio Inoki. If you think about the first guy to ever be anything Japanese, it's Antonio Inoki. There's no New Japan Wrestling without Antonio Inoki. There's no Hulk Hogan without Antonio Inoki. That's it. That guy was fabulous. He was fucking technical. He could really beat the shit out of you. And like you said, he's the guy that beat the shit out of Muhammad Ali's leg.
I can't argue that either. Number 2, if I had him at number 6, but I mean, at number 2 is probably 2 because the reason I have to, like I said, the reason I put Stone Cold higher than Inoki was because of what he did, ratings wise and shit.
Oh yeah, he definitely launched the sport.
Yeah, I mean, Inoki, I can't argue nothing about him. You could put him at number 1 and 2, because even he's as good as or better than my number 1.
Yeah.
So number 2 for me is a guy we already talked about, THESZ.
Did you just sigh?
No, I was breathing.
Yeah, that was actually decent. That was probably one of your best picks on the list because goddamn Ed sure the hell don't belong on there.
Let me think here. He's already said Bret Hart. He's already said Ric Flair. He's already said Stone Cold. I believe you already said Undertaker.
Right.
So your number 1 pick's not too hard to pick.
Who?
Your number 1 pick has to be Hot Rod.
Nope. I already said Hot Rod.
Oh, did you already say Hot Rod?
Number 4.
Number 4.
Oh, number 4?
Yeah, better than Ric Flair. So go ahead. Here's our number 1.
Okay. My number 1. Hollywood Michael Paul's number 1 pick. It might stun you guys. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I even wrote down a little bit of facts here so I wouldn't forget because you know me, I'm absent-minded.
Yeah.
11 years as a WWF champion, 2 title reigns of 440 days. The Italian strawman we already talked about, Bruno Sammartino.
I know it.
Can't argue it. At least
you know what? I was expecting a lot worse out of you. I'm not gonna lie. I was expecting a lot worse out of him after the Edge and shit.
When I sat down and wrote this, I'm like, number 1 was so hard. And I'm like, I got to think, past my generation and guys who paved the way for it. And it's like Bruno Sammartino's always been a guy I liked.
Ours is pretty predictable, so it's Ric Flair. I mean,
it's Ric Flair. What can we say?
All day long. The
guy Nature Boy.
Says it in 16-time world heavyweight champion.
Kiss stealing, wheeling, and dealing, son of a gun.
I mean, the guy looked the part. He played the part. He was the part.
He lived his gimmick.
I mean,
He is his gimmick. He lives his gimmick.
I can't think of any other wrestler that has done as much for the business as Ric Flair has. He's put over guys that shouldn't have got put over. He's putting over guys that deserve to be put over. The guy does for wrestling what Hulk Hogan can't do because Hulk Hogan can't keep his little dick in his pants.
Terry Bollea.
Oh, Terry Bollea.
Well, see, Ric Flair couldn't either, but you know what? Ric Flair put that into his gimmick.
Well, yeah, exactly. Hulk Hogan, he's just, I mean, like I said, he made my top 15 because of what he did. But Ric Flair, to me, will always be the greatest wrestler of all time.
I'm never going to disagree with Ric Flair being the greatest of all time. Like, when I did this list, number one was the easiest. I started off with number one because that was the easiest one for me to do. Yeah. I already knew off the bat, number one is Ric Flair. Growing up for me, if you grew up in the 80s and stuff, you were one of two factions. You were either a Ric Flair guy or you were a Hulk Hogan guy. And let me tell you, I never understood where the hell the Hulk Hogan guys ever thought he was better than Ric Flair. I was like, man, Ric Flair would pimp slap the fuck out of Hulk Hogan. He'd have Hogan crying in a little corner.
Let's not mention the realism. I mean, not Hulk Hogan. Ric Flair was actually an NCAA wrestler too.
Oh, and Ric Flair made being a heel okay. This guy was a heel. He wasn't no baby.
He made a heel being cool.
Look, I would never dispute that Ric Flair wasn't one of the greatest of all time.
Look,
that's why he made my top 5.
Ric Flair broke Dusty Rhodes' leg, and they literally had to stay inside the steel cage for like an hour to try to. The fans were trying to get to Ric Flair and kill his ass. Yeah. He incited so much rage. I mean, he made wrestling so believable.
I can't
disagree.
I
mean, I don't even want to say that he got past the moniker of Nature Boy because Buddy Rogers sucked. Buddy Rogers was
I think he was
garbage.
Decent.
He was no Nature Boy.
I have no
There's
clue
only one Nature Boy. It's
how
Ric Flair.
He became a part of your top 3.
Because I went and watched his stuff, man.
I mean, holy fucking shit.
Look, my list surprised you.
Yo,
your whole fucking list surprised me. Out of all the millions of great wrestlers, you put fucking Edge on there.
He was at number 15.
Like,
I was gonna put
I
Daniel.
would expect that from Wild Tony because Wild Tony is young and dumb.
I was gonna put Daniel Bryan at number 15.
You know who he didn't have on his list?
Who?
Aoki.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
He doesn't know Aoki.
I don't know. I know him. I just don't know enough about him to put him on my list.
Yeah, he'll probably go back and watch that tonight.
No, I'm not.
You should because you're missing out.
A lot.
You're missing out.
Yeah, I'm missing a lot. So there you go, fans. That is our top 15 list, and yes, Hollywood Michael Paul is a fucking idiot because
yes, he is.
I don't know where the hell. I don't know where CM Punk and Edge ever makes a top 15 all time list, but his top 5 is semi decent.
But hey, guys, head on over to our YouTube channel when you're probably already there listening to it.
Yes, tell us who your top 15 is,
and comment, subscribe, and give us some ideas what we can do for a top segment because it's going to be a new thing we're going to start doing on here.
That's the Ringside Power Hour, top 15 greatest of all time.
Fuck you.
See ya.